All right, we're continuing the study of the Latin verb, active indicative. We've done puto, maneo for the first and second conjugations. We did have assigned rego for the third conjugation. Okay, again, the most important thing is, do you have that word? Do you have it in your mind? Is it there by careful vocab memory? If not, of course, you need to look it up. But, of course, without a dictionary or something, you'd be at a loss. Rego, regera, rexi, rectum. Rego, regera, rexi, rectum. Or rectus. I'm sometimes alternating here because, again, I do want you to be familiar with the fact that sometimes if you look up a dictionary, you'll see rectus. Sometimes you'll see rectum. They have altered a little bit whether they use what's known as the supine form or the regular perfect passive participle. Doesn't matter too much because that is just a normal ending. This one here is the accusative ending of the masculine. Rectus is the nominative ending of the masculine. Don't let that bother you. We compare the first and second, and we notice actually that it is a third conjugation. Second conjugation would be regeo, regera. There is no such word as regeo, by the way. Okay, but since we've looked and we've seen there's no e here and there is an e here, that actually lets us know that this E is a short E. Technically, then, the present stem is rega with a short E. Okay, rega. Not rege with a long E. There is no such form. Now, last time we looked at maneo, manera, and we found it, and it had a long E like that. Now, we add these macrons for our clarity, okay? But not everyone has the macron. And, of course, our old Latin writers, they didn't use the macron all the time. They just knew these things. They just knew what was long and that kind of thing. But it's useful for us. This E is able to fend for itself. He's a long E. He's a strong E. This E is not really able to fend for himself. He will mostly disappear. Now, partly what happens, actually, is that the third conjugation and the third IO and the fourth, actually, they change to get into the present. They end up with the O, I, vowel pattern. We used to see that vowel pattern in the future. First and second conjugation, that shows up simply in the future. Now, this guy is so weak, the short E in the stem, which technically we could say is still made off of the second, that most people who teach Latin and most Latin textbooks or workbooks will ask you to go here and take off the O instead and make the stem as if it is reg, okay? And you know what? I don't quite think that's ultimately right in the deep sense, right? In the deep sense, when we're looking at Latin word formation, it actually still is this, but this is a perfectly good way to teach it. And it is simple, and it does make sense in that way for you as a student. There are some things I think that can still be a little odd if you think of it that way, but that also does work quite well. So what ends up happening, actually, is that we get the present forms looking like this. Reg, that's what only remains really from the stem, because the short E, I could write the short E in here and then just get rid of it, but that just adds a step at the moment. Because actually the O, vowel pattern completely, whoops, I put an I right there. What was I thinking? It completely overcomes that short E, swallows it up, ruins it, short E's gone. So in that way, this is just as well. Our ending is O, and then s, and then t, and then mus, and then tis, and then unt. Rego, regis, regit, regimus, regitus, regunt. A little odd in that way, okay? But we can understand it. Once you shift it a little bit, you would expect that it would have been something like rego, reges, regate, or something with this E in there, right? But it changes to get into the present. The present is a little odd for the third IO, and fourth. Now, what ends up happening is that the third IO, and fourth also take an extra tense form. This long E, and then ba, a-ba, or like in the future, a-bi, that kind of thing. So let's see how that works out here. Reg, a, ba, Reg, a, ba, s. Reg, a, ba, t. regebamus. Same thing, regebatis and regebant. Now, most people, again, will teach this as a situation where the consonant B has almost, shall we say, protected the short E from falling away. That is the way that some people will look at this. I think it's helpful to think of it as this tense form, that the inflected stems or the inflected tenses, the imperfect in the future, that they actually show here another tense form. So that's the way I think is more helpful. Aba, all the way down. And in that way, it's perfectly regular. Now, because it has changed to get into the present, this long E all by itself is enough to show that it's going into the future. And so the B that we would expect does not show up. At first, that is a painful loss. That is a sad loss, we might say. Okay, but after a while, you won't even miss it. So let me go ahead and write reg plus the long E, reg plus the long E. Now there is an exception here that I'm going to show you, and that is simply what happens right here. Okay, in the future, we get the alternate ending as well, that same M ending. But actually, regain, because of the M ending, this is then forced over years among the Latin speakers, it became an A. Regam. That is an exception. It's worth memorizing, actually. Remember that the future of the third iota, and fourth, it takes the M alternate ending and then forces, due to the place of the pronunciation, the E to become an A. Other than that, it's regular. Is, t, mus, tis, nt. Other than that, it's regular. Regam, reges, regate, regamus, regatus, regent. And that would mean like he, she, or it will rule, we will rule, I will rule. Regebat, he, she, or it was ruling. Regebant, they were ruling, that kind of thing. Now, how do we make our perfect system? Okay, rexi. Rex is the perfect tense stem. Again, a commercial for important vocab, for good vocab memory, because without good vocab memory, you would not know rexi right off the bat. You wouldn't be able to drop the I off right off the bat and come up with all of the versions of rex here right off the bat. That is your perfect tense stem. So all the perfects will be built off rex. Now we just, for the perfect, had to add our special endings. E, isti, it, imus, istis, erunt. Special endings. So I have ruled, they have ruled, y'all have ruled, that kind of thing. Our perfect. Now we need our pluperfect. So it's simply rex plus era, rex plus eras, rex erat, rex eramus, and so forth. Rex eratus, rex erant. Real straightforward. Same thing's going to happen down here for the future perfect. A little bit of a difference, rex ero, but we're expecting that one now. Not rex eri-o, but we're expecting that. Now rex eris, rex erit, rex, remember the stem, plus eri, the tense form, plus the ending. In this case, mus for the first plural. And we'll finish it off. Rex eritus, rex erint. Ere for the tense form, nt for the plural. In that case, this would be something like, they will have ruled, I will have ruled, we will have ruled, that kind of thing. And that is your third conjugation. Notice how the perfect system is beautifully normal. Everything is normal right there. Here we have the strange shift. And so we get the o, vowel pattern up here. That's a shift to get into the present. The inflected forms, the sort of outside forms, the imperfect and the future, they add this long E. So we get aba here, and the E is enough to change this. Now, the one exception is it does force this strange shift to the A, so it's regam, regace, regate, regamus, regatus, regent here in this version here. So you do need to know your principal parts in the conjugation. If there were, there isn't, but if there were a word that was regeo, regere, second conjugation, if there were a word that was like that, regate would be its present active indicative, third person singular. Kind of like maneo, remember manate was its present active indicative, third person singular. So manate is present active indicative, third singular. Regate is future active indicative, third person singular. And in one sense, you know the difference precisely by the speed with which your mind can know the word, know the principal parts, know the conjugation, and then apply it to the various forms that you see. And once again, I'll just remind you, that is part of the beauty of Latin and what is required in a course like this, how it makes your mind so fit, gives your mind great finesse, because over and over in life, you need this exercise and these skills. Where in something as normal as language, you end up learning something, having to control it sort of in your hands and with your mind, but then more and more it becomes your intuition. You build muscle memory like in sports, and it starts to happen automatically. And that does start to happen automatically. Here we have unpacked it slowly, but it starts to happen faster than you could ever imagine. All right, thanks again, and I pray this has been helpful. We'll take a look at the fourth and third IO after a little bit. Take care.